Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ben and Andrea with VW Family Farm, and we are going to go through some of our seeds, tell you the things that we had success with last year, some of the things we didn't really like, and exactly what we're planning to plant as of right now.
Right. So we've got seeds rolling in all the time right now. We've got our orders placed. I hope you guys have too. There's still plenty of seeds to go around. You can still get your orders in, and even if some of the websites you go to are low on seeds or out of what you want, there are many local stores that sell seeds as well. It may not be exactly what you were looking for on that certain website that you heard someone talk about or whatever, but there is lots of seeds around.
I have seen a few comments out there here lately that the Baker Creek website has been down. I don't know if it's from people over ordering too much or if they're just having technical issues. I do know that they just uploaded their new website, so it may be something to do with that.
And they will be back, so There's no need to panic. Like I said, if you can't get them online, go hit up your local store and just grow what varieties are available to you. We've done that. That's all we used to do before we knew all these companies were out there and we knew about the homesteading community and stuff. We never ordered seeds. So although I love to do that now and we have our favorite companies, and I would be very sad if we couldn't get seeds from them, don't let that stop you from growing vegetables this year. So we, like Ben said, just thought we would share with you kind of things we've loved in the past and things that are going to be new to us.
All right, as we've said before, this year we're scaling back on our gardening. We're letting our front garden rest for a year, letting it replenish in the soil just like I think God intended. Every 7 years you're supposed to kind of let it rest and just let it set out. We're going to still do our plants in the back garden. We may end up letting it set out next year, but we're going to end up covering the whole garden with our wheat fabric on it, and then going in there and cutting the holes or burning the holes in there. So we want to go back, since we're scaling back, we're going to go back with a lot of the favorites that we know we loved and are tried and true to us.
So we are going to have limited space available, so we can't just do a ton of experimenting. And also, one thing you need to consider if you're planting your garden is, what do you have on your shelves? Like, what do you have canned right now? If you have tons of sauces and things like I do, I have lots of sauce and things, I'm not going to plant lots of sauce and paste tomatoes. I am getting low on like diced tomatoes and things that big beefy slicers, those types of products that I like to make from those. So that's what we're going to plant, and we're going back to what we know produces, because we're not going to have enough room for things to be in there that just aren't producing.
So some of the ones that we're going to go back to, these three right here we've grown for years. Granny Cantrell.
And those will get huge.
Let's see, yep, those were the Cherokee Purples.
We love those. Those get big and meaty.
And these are the German Pinks. These three we've grown many years and we've always loved them. This is one that Andrea grew last year, the Abe Lincoln. It turned out really amazing.
It turned out pretty good. And we love that one too.
Yeah, we've grown this one in the past, the Pink Ponderosa.
So we are actually growing a couple that are new to us, the Summer Pick and the Big Beef Tomato, both from Haas. Haas's plants they just came up and their plants were pretty, and so we just know that those will do well.
They germinated really well.
Their germination is
beautiful,
amazing.
Germination rates.
Yes, so that's what we're doing on tomatoes. We may throw in a couple extras, you know, when the time comes, but we like to grow quite a few of like this variety. We'll go grow several of those. We don't do just like one plant of something usually. We kind of just pick a couple, and then that's what our tomatoes are.
Right, and one thing that we didn't pick out of there that I'm gonna get out is our ground cherry.
So next, let's talk about squash. I have a couple of varieties that I will always plant. One of those is the lemon squash. We discovered that several years ago. No one really recommended it. We just were flipping through the catalog and we're like, that looks neat. And it does amazing here. And that's one thing, guys, is if you find something that does amazing in your area, that is so valuable, because certain plants just like certain altitudes and climates and things like that. So mark that down. Just because someone else might not care for it, it might be a winner for you.
So some of the ones that, of course, pretty much every gardener has always planted is the straight neck squash. We've always planted that one. That's just a go-to pretty much for every gardener. The golden zucchini.
And I'm gonna grow golden zucchini from Hoss and Baker Creek. And so I'll let you know how those do, if they come out looking just alike or what, but I really like those. I've grown those the last couple of years, and a lot of times I like to use zucchini like yellow squash, so those are a good mixture.
And of course the butternut squash, we've always planted that one. And is that the spaghetti squash?
This is what I wanted to tell you guys about. So this is a variety of spaghetti squash. We actually have it from Hoss and Baker Creek, and so I'll probably plant some of both. But this is, I'm not even gonna attempt to pronounce it. I'm gonna hope the camera's gonna focus. And if not, I'll put it down in the description. But this is actually a spaghetti squash. A lot of these winter squashes like this are vining, and they will just take over your garden. You better have a big area. But this is actually a bush plant. So it grows just like a squash and just bushes out, and it's so neat, and it doesn't take up very much room. It doesn't get out of control. So this is definitely a favorite of mine.
And that's gonna be really vital when we're growing in a small space.
Yeah.
This is another one we grew several years ago, and it vines out really, really big. So we're gonna make room for it because we really liked it.
Mm-hmm. So that, if you couldn't see, it was the jumbo pink banana. And then let's just quickly show them.
I mean, there's all kinds of squashes in here that...
I went kind of crazy ordering from Hoss the squashes, and I'm gonna make a place for like a plant or so of each one. So I'll just quickly tell you, I'm gonna grow this sweet dumpling. I'm gonna grow the red curry, the one ball squash, delicata, I love delicata squash, the Diablo pumpkin, partial eclipse squash,
and of course,
and another zucchini. It's the green zebra. I love those colors. So that's what we're doing for squash. That will take up quite a bit of room, but you know, even if we have to move that off somewhere else, squash really could grow off by itself in a different little garden area, but we'll see. And this is gonna be a lesson for us when your space is limited. We may have to cut some of those when the time comes.
Ooh. This one was one of my favorites. This is a Lisa pepper that we tasted as we was at Baker Creek. It's super sweet, very delicious, and it has become one of my favorite pepper plants.
So we're growing that one, and then these are just, if I have to pick peppers this year, I don't want a bunch of hot peppers. So I'm just growing the California Wonder, that's from Hoss, that's a green bell pepper, and then I'm growing the orange bell from Baker Creek and the Ozark Giant from Baker Creek. You can pick these Ozark Giants green, but if you leave them, they turn a really pretty color of red. These are all big peppers that you can use for stuffed peppers. You can chunk them up and freeze them to cook with in the winter. They're just really good.
What's gonna be hard for me is I'm already getting a little itchy and wanting to start to plant, and I know better every year.
It's not time.
But I want to get my hands in the dirt. All right, some things that I'm really excited about. It's been a few years, but we grew some big watermelons. I think one of them was like 74 pounds. They're not offering them at Baker Creek anymore that I could find. I think they were Mississippi watermelons. But anyway, I got this kind, and I'm totally stoked. I want to try to grow one that, I want to get a 100-pound watermelon.
So this is the kind he's talking about, in case you're wondering.
And then also an experimental one is a lemon drop watermelon. That's just going to be kind of something to play with. And then of course a cantaloupe.
Really excited about that. I think he likes it because it has honey in the name. Let's move on to okra. We are growing Clemson spineless. Like I was telling you earlier, if you find something that works in your area, it doesn't matter if you consider it more of a boring one to grow or whatever. If it works, it works. And our goal at the end of the day is food. Beauty as well, but also the end goal is food. So we are also growing Jing orange and Okinawa pink. So we are adding in some color to our okra this year. Really excited about that. We will not be growing like a whole row of Clemson spineless and then pink and then orange. We'll have to maximize space, so it'll just be a little section of all three together probably. And then broccoli and cauliflower, I don't know why I'm trying these again, but I am. I just cannot give up this dream. I'm gonna do, this is just called Amazing Cauliflower in this Waltham broccoli. And I'll probably be growing some broccoli and cauliflower from Haas Tools as well. I'm gonna give that another go. Under the Row cover did the best, but it's just like we're far enough south. It's gonna be a struggle. Broccoli, cauliflower, and we're gonna talk about cabbage here in a minute, but we're gonna have to plant early and get them out of there early before all the pests start. And so that's where our Clyde's garden planter is gonna come in handy. In fact, we need to be sprouting very, very soon.
So you're saying I can get my hands in the dirt?
You can do it very soon. We gotta be sprouting these early things, and y'all do too. But that Clyde garden planter, they're only $5, and they are so awesome at telling you when to plant, when to sprout, when to get it outside, all that stuff.
All right, one thing that we're not experimenting with is cucumbers. We're just gonna go with 3 different types of pickling cucumbers: National Pickling, Max Pack, and the Boston Pickling cucumber. I am wanting some fire and ice pickles. They may not be the most healthy, but they are the most delicious.
And we love to eat them, and we love to eat cucumbers, and those are just as good to eat as well as make pickles. So again, we are multitasking with our cucumbers. So I just went and dug out this Clyde's garden planter. So for cauliflower, we should start seeds. It's really late February, so I mean we're not behind, and broccoli is early March.
But in that, we're gonna go ahead and get them started, and then we're gonna go ahead and plant them outside before this thing recommends it, because we are gonna put the frost blankets over.
Yes. So get one of these. I think they're on the Baker Creek website for like $5. I think I already said that. But this thing is invaluable. It's got so much info just in one place. Okay, moving along. I'm gonna try these rutabagas. I have been wanting to try these. These are known as the Swedish turnip. They get deep golden yellow, and they're sweet and rich. So this is just another root vegetable. Really, really excited about that. And then moving quickly, this is our favorite lettuce. It's just called speckled lettuce. It grows so amazing here. And so I'm going with things that I know will produce veggies.
Now, I don't see the white ones over there, but one thing that we've really grown to love is kohlrabi.
And you like those purple ones?
I like the purple ones. I like the white ones. To me, they almost take the place of cabbage, the taste of it, and a whole lot more pest resistant.
Yes.
Easier to grow all around. Kohlrabi, if you've never grown it, I definitely highly suggest it.
And we really don't have any trouble. We don't wind up having to try to figure out anything to spray on it or to kill bugs. No. It's just one of those things that it's just really easy to grow here. Yeah. So that's awesome. And then this is another thing super easy to grow here is Chinese cabbage. And we really like it. Yeah. We've really grown to like it. It's not just like cabbage. It's like a cross between lettuce and cabbage, really, but it's very good. And then I'm growing 3 different varieties of cabbage: Cheers, Stonehead, and Savoy King. So really excited about this Cheers cabbage. I love cabbage, and that's another thing, like the broccoli and cauliflower, I might just be wasting time, I'm not sure, but they're very pest ridden here. We get worms and just lots of problems, but I'm gonna try. I think it will really help if we get them sprouted as soon as possible and then put them under the frost blanket. And then I'm also, one thing this year we're gonna try to do, we've been talking about, is doing a better job of not just sticking the plants out there, but feeding them what they individually need throughout the year. So,
and we're gonna try different sorts of organic, I guess say pesticides of some sort, like DE and things like that.
Right.
Just to try everything that we can to keep the pest off of them.
Right. But I also think, like, if your plants are thriving and growing and getting what they need, sometimes they'll grow and produce, and then they're out of the ground by the time like those things come and attack cabbages and broccolis and cauliflowers and stuff. Mine are still dragging out there in the summer heat, and then those things just attack them. So do think about feeding your plants some, because I think that's one place we definitely have fell down. They're not getting everything they need, and they just take forever.
What was a couple of things that you'd recommend that we did last year that you'd recommend nobody ever do again? I know one right off the top of the bat.
Well,
Not a plant.
never, never, never leave a gap in your row cover. Never.
Never.
Never. It looks pretty at the beginning and it seems like it's going to be a great idea. It's a terrible idea. Terrible. You will have a jungle. So don't do that. Overlap it, and don't just overlap it. I mean, overlap it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do it right this year. What's your thing?
What about the fence? Would you recommend doing that again, or do you like our cages?
For tomatoes?
Yes.
I like the fence. The fence is also work. It's not just slap a fence up. We put up a web wire fence, so that required driving T-posts, putting the fence up, which is heavy and just awkward to work with, that much fence. Then you have to like clip that up, and then as the plants grow, you have to clip those to the fence, and so then you have to clean all that up at the end. So in the past,
take all the clips off.
In the past, we've used tomato cages made out of concrete wire. That's what everyone around here uses. They're circles. They're good, but also they will grow a jungle up in them, and then you're fighting a jungle trying to get those off at the end of the year. So I don't know what's the best. Maybe the ground cover with the tomato cages on top.
Yeah, and pruning as they're growing. I think that has a lot to do with it. Keeping it where it can get an air draft underneath it, and keeping the vegetation from getting down on the ground, getting wet, and staying damp all the time.
I will say though, it's like you said, pruning as you go. It's pruning as you go, because if you just go in there like you're Edward Scissorhands and just start pruning and like you just leave it looking like you just stripped it down.
Yeah.
I did that year before last. Instead of just pruning a little here and there, you don't have to do everything all at once, because then you really shock it and set it back and it just won't ever do as well. So my goals, I challenge you guys this year, is to maybe go a little bit smaller, but do it really well.
Yeah.
Do what you're gonna do, and don't go big and then just halfway do it. Do it well, and spend a little time each week, if not each day, doing the things that need doing a little at a time, because it shouldn't just be all or nothing and like wear yourself out and then do nothing for a week.
Right.
It's got to be a little along the way.
And one thing that I learned last year is, and it may have even been the year before, is when you put down ground cover of some sort, don't go out there ready to start gardening. Get out there, break your garden up, get it tilled up nice and pretty, and then put your weed fabric down.
It looks pretty.
Yeah, it looks real nice. But if you ever get a windstorm right after that,
or just a decent wind,
it pulls it right up. That ground is so loose, those the stakes don't have something to grab a hold of, and you're going to be fighting that. And then in turn, there comes up all your plants.
Yeah. So we looked out, and it's just rolled up. And then, like he said, your little baby plants you just planted, yeah, you've just traumatized them.
Yeah.
So you're shooting yourself in the foot from the get-go. So this is our last thing.
Almost last.
Almost last. We got something else?
Yeah.
Okay. Ben is going to grow me some of these because I bought them this year, and he said, oh no, we cannot be buying those. This is just a small gourd mix for fall decorations. I love them. And then I love this gourd. It's spelled B-U-L-E. I'm gonna call it bowl or buell. I have no idea, but they can be carved into bowls. Really excited about those.
Cool.
That's all I've got. What else you got?
Two more things that were, well, two varieties of things that we're growing of is going to be a lot of flowers for pollinators, beauty, and just cuz. But then the last thing is I just sent an email to Dixondale Farms and got our
Onion starts?
got our onion starts.
Sets.
Yeah, there you go. Onion sets and the weed and feed. Getting ready to get them in the ground in February, so
Yes.
it's fixing to be time to start kicking everything off.
And that was one thing we found last year. It was a whole lot of work at one time. We harvested the onions, and then actually Emily sat there for a few hours and cleaned them up, got the peelings off of them, and she worked hard. Don't get me wrong, she worked hard. But then it was done. We put them in freezer bags in the freezer. They have been amazing to use. You don't have to go out there and worry about your onions or spoiling or anything. They're there. You could chop them up even at the beginning. I just froze them whole. I mean, I chop them as I go, but you could chop them right there at the beginning, and then you're really set up. So I'll be doing that again.
So we really hope y'all are gearing up for gardening season. I know I'm excited. I'm ready to get my hands on potting soil and get some of these early things started sprouting. learn how to do that in stages. Do not get your tomatoes planted too early,
No.
or they will be long, leggy, and root bound. Speaking from experience.
So I hope you guys are gearing up. I know things seem crazy sometimes and you can get stressed out about things going on around you, but just think about gardening. Think about getting that planned. Spring is coming. Sunny days, long days are coming, and we can all get outside again. And I just truly feel that everything's gonna be okay. That all this virus and everything is eventually gonna have to get out of here, and we are gonna get somewhat back to normal. And
ready for normal.
This is something that brings us all joy. So I just encourage you to focus on that. Get your seeds ordered.
Get dirty.
Yeah. Let's get out and get dirty. We'll see you guys on the next one. God bless.